Japanese RPGs have always had a hardcore following, and the PlayStation 4 has become a haven for some of the best JRPGs in recent memory. In this video, we want to take a look at the top 10 upcoming Japanese RPGs on the PS4. Let's get right into this. Number 10, Edge of Eternity. Edge of Eternity was a game that was funded with the help of Kickstarter, and it's inspired by the great JRPG tradition for the strategical turn-based combats and the character's progression, and the success of recent Western RPGs for their vast open worlds to explore and the non-linear stories. The game is all about exploring, building up your character, fighting, and living an adventure to remember. As so the developers say, technically the game is shaping up pretty well. Hopefully we see it sometime in 2018. Number 9, Lost Soul Aside. Lost Soul Aside may be the most impressive one-person project from a developer ever. Bing Yang is creating the game and it's being developed with Unreal Engine 4 and it takes some visual cues from the Final Fantasy series, you can tell that right away, but it plays more like a Devil May Cry and action-adventure game. It's gorgeous and it looks like a game made from a much larger team. And it will be a timed PlayStation 4 exclusive. The developer has said that he wants to finish the game by 2018. Hopefully that comes to fruition. Number 8, Lost Sphere. Lost Sphere is the latest game from Tokyo RPG Factory, a studio created by Square Enix to create excellent old-school JRPGs. Their first game was I Am Setsuna, and while that game wasn't perfect, it set a foundation for what the studio could do, and you could see that there's a lot of potential in Tokyo RPG Factory, and their latest game, Lost Sphere, is once again a similar style. It's bringing a fresh take on classic RPG gameplay, and it centers around a young man who suffered a phenomenon that he had never seen. He faces an ominous power that threatens the fabric of reality. Sounds like your typical JRPG fare. Lost Sphere is scheduled for a release on January 23rd. Number 7, The Legend of Heroes Trails of Cold Steel 3. The Legend of Heroes Trails of Cold Steel 3 is a direct sequel to the prior two Tales of Cold Steel games, and those were pretty good traditional JRPGs. This game is picking up 1.5 years after the events of Trails of Cold Steel 2, so if you played the previous games, that is gonna come in handy, and it's once again gonna feature the traditional JRPG turn-based mechanics, similar to the first two games. There is an emphasis on speeding up battles, as well as making transitions into specific battle scenes more seamless and being able to map out more battle commands to specific buttons rather than various menus. The Legend of Heroes Trails of Cold Steel 3 has already been released in Japan. A US release hasn't been confirmed yet, but sometime in 2018 makes a lot of sense. Number 6, Digimon Story Cyber Sleuth Hacker's Memory. Digimon games for a long time have been few and far between in the States. Bandai Namco is starting to change that. We saw Digimon Story Cyber Sleuth back in 2016, we saw a new Digimon World title earlier this year, and then next year we have the follow-up to Cyber Sleuth, Digimon Story Cyber Sleuth Hacker's Memory. The game shares a lot of the elements and locations from its predecessor while featuring a brand new story and an expanded amount of Digimon to collect. If you want your JRPGs to have an English dub, unfortunately you won't see that in this game, but that was the case in the last game too, so that shouldn't be a big deal. And for those of you a big fan of JRPGs, that isn't a big deal anyway. Digimon Story Cyber Sleuth Hacker's Memory is set for a release sometime in 2018. Number 5, Code Vein. Code Vein is an action RPG coming from Shift and published by Bandai Namco. If you guys don't know, Shift are the guys that also did the God Eater games, very good action RPGs of a Monster Hunter style. And Code Vein is probably one of the most promising games that Bandai Namco has put out in recent memory. It's set in a post-apocalyptic dystopia with vampire themes including gifts from the consumption of blood and other supernatural abilities. It's exploration-based gameplay and it's supposed to be more of an open-world experience, which we don't see too often from Bandai Namco. The game is expected to release sometime in 2018.
サクサク進んでみましょうか。
はい、いいですか。
はい、サク進んでください。
じゃあちょっと見せてください。
おお、すごい。はい。
おお、あ、なんか
横からも敵が来てますね。
横からね、いるからね。でもミヤも今もほら、もうすごく元気ですから。
ミヤガンガン攻めるな。
ミヤガンガンですよ。ミヤ大丈夫。
なんか遠距離攻撃をしてくる敵がいますね。
そうですね。敵が銃剣を持っているので、彼は距離が離れると。
Number 4, Dragon Quest XI. Dragon Quest is finally back with Dragon Quest XI, and the game continues the gameplay of previous games in the series. You explore worlds, fight against various quirky monsters, and it's very much centered around a lot of exploration. The PlayStation 4 version of the game is more of the higher-end version of the game. It's going to feature 3D graphics, so you will get some technical bonuses on consoles. Gameplay-wise, it's very similar. It'll feature that same traditional turn-based battle system. For some of you, that may be a little bit dated, but for long-time Dragon Quest fans, this is going to be right up your alley. Dragon Quest XI should release sometime in 2018. Number 3, Ni no Kuni 2 Revenant Kingdom. Ni no Kuni 2 Revenant Kingdom is the sequel to the first Ni no Kuni title, which was released on the PlayStation 3, and that was arguably the best JRPG on the PlayStation 3. It was a terrific game with a great art style, a great story with great characters, solid gameplay, excellent music. There just wasn't a lot wrong with the first Ni no Kuni title. And the sequel looks to build upon the first game, now with a brand new story, so if you didn't play the first game, that won't impact your experience too much. You play as a young king who is usurped from his castle and sets out to reclaim his kingdom. You navigate through a gorgeous open world, you'll meet other characters, battle against various enemies, your typical JRPG fare, but given what we saw in the first Ni no Kuni game, expect Ni no Kuni 2 to be something really great. The game was originally scheduled for a 2017 release. Unfortunately, it was delayed and now will be coming January 19th, 2018.
It's nothing personal. You were just in the wrong place at the wrong time.
Here it is, Evan.
My dearest friend. Evan.
Number 2, Final Fantasy VII Remake. Final Fantasy VII is one of the most iconic JRPGs of all time, and for good reason. It was one of the best JRPGs that really set a new bar for the genre. It had an amazing story, the gameplay was great, the cast of characters were amazing, and ever since we saw the tech demo of Final Fantasy VII running on the PlayStation 3 back in 2005, everyone has wanted a full-on remake to the game. Years would go by and we would hear nothing, but finally at E3 of 2015, a full remake of Final Fantasy VII was announced for the PlayStation 4. Now the game is coming along, but we still don't know too much about it because Square Enix is focused on another project. More on that in a little bit, but the fact that Final Fantasy VII is being remade entirely, that's very exciting, and for those of you that played Final Fantasy VII know how huge of a game is, and if they want to remake that whole game with the technical quality that we've seen so far, maybe its episodic release pattern will be warranted. Nonetheless, the Final Fantasy VII remake is still probably a ways out. Episode 1 at earliest will be out in 2018, probably more likely 2019.
Okay, Maku. Let's move.
Finally, number 1, Kingdom Hearts 3. Kingdom Hearts 2 was released over a decade ago, and over all those years, we've wanted a legitimate third entry to the Kingdom Hearts franchise. Yes, we've seen some spin-off titles. We saw Kingdom Hearts Birth by Sleep 358 over 2 days, and Kingdom Hearts Dream Drop Distance did continue the story, but none of those were a full third entry. Well, the wait is finally coming to an end, and Kingdom Hearts 3 is on the way. So far, what we've seen of the game has looked absolutely spectacular. Visually, it looks stunning. Gameplay-wise, it looks as fluid as ever, and it's just gonna be great to welcome the cast of characters back onto PlayStation. Kingdom Hearts 3 is set for a 2018 release. Let's hope that sticks. We know how Square Enix is sometimes iffy with their release dates, but maybe 2018 is finally the year where Kingdom Hearts 3 lands. Let's hope so. So that wraps up the top 10 upcoming Japanese RPGs for the PlayStation 4. What do you think? Which JRPGs are you the most excited for? Let us know in the comments section down below. Thank you for watching, and goodbye.